This is one of my favorite Christmas specials, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It airs in America every holiday season on like a major network in prime time. It's got that kind of the animals and the people, they're handmade, and it's like stop motion animation, and there's something that this kind of animation has more heart in it than any kind of animation. If you're old enough to remember, there was a Sunday morning show like this with this kind of animation called Davy and Goliath, and it was kind of like, it had its roots in Christianity and the story of David and Goliath, but in this cartoon, Davy was a little boy and Goliath was his dog, and it was just adorable. But Rudolph, I think has been fundamentally, and I think in many ways deliberately misread over the years. And I would just like to give you my interpretation, because I think once you see it, you can't unsee it. The other reindeer are assholes, and so is Santa Claus for abiding all of their bullying bullshit. They all make fun of Rudolph because Rudolph has a red nose, unlike the rest of them. And they bully him to the point where he becomes a pariah at the North Pole. And it's not like there are a lot of other places Rudolph could go to make some friends. And remember, this is before the internet, so he can't even like go on Instagram, or like Snapchat. So, he is a pariah, and he is a lonely, lonely soul up in the freezing North Pole, and Santa nor Mrs. Santa Claus will do anything to really intervene. This is what you would at best call benign neglect parenting. Now, however, when it comes time to deliver the Christmas presents to all the boys and girls all over the world, well, it's super dark out, as tends to happen with night. And if any of these asshole idiot reindeers thought ahead, they might be like, you know what? The thing that sets Rudolph apart, that thing makes him special. It doesn't make him a freak. It makes him special. It's a theme here at The Nerve. We could go back to even our Billy Joel, our breaking apart of those episodes of his documentary when he was a kid, trying to walk to his music class, his piano lessons, to the person who also taught ballet in school, and all the other boys in town, like interrupting him on his way to just go take his lesson and knocking the school books out of his arms and saying, "You're a freak. Why are you going over there?" Basically calling him gay. You could read Rudolph the same way. Actually, you really could. And I said over here at the Woodshed and at Nerve Central, we're all about the misfits, because those are the ones who see the world differently, and they grow up to make real cultural contributions that enrich all of our lives. Anyway, back to Rudolph. The other reindeer are like, "Hey, Santa, you know how we're going to get this thing aloft? You know how we're going to get this thing going and get back in business?" Rudolph can lead the way because his nose lights up, and then all of a sudden they all love Rudolph. And that, my friends, is a relationship of convenience, if not outright use and abuse. So, I think that the lesson to tell our children is not, oh, wait for the bullies to accept you and do everything you can to fit in. No, 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 no. Rudolph was being abused, and he should have told them all to go take a hike, but we wouldn't have had the feel-good story that we do without it. I want to tell you about a new documentary that I've recently watched. It's called Thank You, Dr. Fauci, and it is a deep dive into the origins of COVID-19, a potential bioarms race with China, and what could be the biggest public health deception in modern history. Award-winning filmmaker Jenner Furst pores over documents and grills scientists, intelligence experts, and whistleblowers. This is not a left-wing film or a right-wing film. It is a film about accountability. It is a compelling investigative work. It is urgent, unsettling, eye-opening, and it is now streaming on Angel Studios. It is a must-watch. If you have ever wondered what really happens behind closed doors, you will not want to miss this film. The biggest surprise for me was the courage it took to challenge the layers of institutional secrecy surrounding this story. Angel Studios is the only platform bold enough to release this, thanks to Guild members who vote on real stories. It is available on Angel, so be ready to watch, question, and share. If you are ready to demand transparency, join the Angel Guild at angel.com/nerve. Become a member, stream Thank You, Dr. Fauci, and be part of the conversation demanding truth and accountability.